Now, for number 3, what is the characteristics of qualitative research? So from this question, I have given here 4 choices. Among these choices, the best answer is evidence in a form of visual. So why? Qualitative research is particularly evidence in the form of visuals because this form of visual cannot be measured by numbers. For example, in choices number 1, the researcher has to use facts. So the use of facts may be represented by numbers. No? The second option is concerned with generalization. So generalization, as previously mentioned, this pertains to the quantitative research. So ibig sabihin, pag quantitative, nag-generalize tayo. So meaning lahat or marami ang involved, so that is generalization. While in a specific qualitative research, you can conduct a study even involving 1 participants. Okay? Another, the answer is evidence in the form of visual because visuals cannot be measured by just presenting numbers. Okay? And the last is when it involves measurements and statistics, basically it is a quantitative research. Okay, so the answer is evidence in the form of visual. Okay? Yun po ang titingnan natin. Qualitative, pwede siyang visual, pwede siyang recorded transcripts, and pwede also it may also involve narratives. Okay? Now let's proceed to question number 4. Which of the following best describes the purpose of conducting a qualitative research? Now, the first option is to explore the meaning of people's experience, culture, etc. Second is to examine relationship of variables. Third is to test the hypothesis of the study. And the fourth is to prove particular theory. Now, for these choices, the answer is A. Why? A yung answer natin. Bakit kaya? So, basically, when it comes to qualitative, we are exploring the meaning of people's experience and culture. Now, pag sinasabi nating relationship between variables, ito ay correlational study. So, meaning, it involves numbers. So, kailangan nating i-analyze yung data kasi merong variables, whether it is independent, dependent, intervening variables, and different types of variables. So, it is a qualitative or quantitative study. In the option C also, to test the hypothesis of the study, so basically this is whether it is a null hypothesis or the null hypothesis or the alternative hypothesis for the study. So we are testing hypothesis. This is also a quantitative study. Another is to prove particular theory. So, pwede po ito quantitative, pwede rin qualitative. But basically, when we say qualitative, the choices or the best choice among these 4 is to explore the meaning of people's experience, culture, etc. Okay po? So, now, having here question number 5. What is the purpose of an abstract in a research paper? So alam naman po natin that a research paper, if it is in IMRAD format, ano po yung IMRAD format? So IMRAD meaning introduction, methodology, results, and discussions. So that is the IMRAD format of a research paper. So a research paper also contains the abstract. So ano ba yung abstract natin? So the purpose of the abstract is to provide an overview of the study's main findings and conclusion. So that is Letter A. Now, yung sa IMRAD natin, sa introduction, dito po makikita po natin the content of the paper, yung mga literatures na gusto natin i-present related to our studies, as well as the reason or the statement of the problem why we want to conduct the study. Doon po sa introduction. Sa methodology naman po, this is pertaining to the methods that we are going to apply, whether it is quantitative or qualitative. So for instance, it is a quantitative. Ano ba ang klaseng research ito? Is it descriptive? Is it correlational? Is it predictive or prediction model? So it depends on the methodology or the methods that we are going to apply. So doon po yung methodology. It involves the research participants, if it is qualitative, respondents, if it is in quantitative, also the research setting, the data gathering procedures, whether it is what type of sampling you are using, also the instrument you are going to use. So for instance, if it is a qualitative, you are using interview guide questions, or if it is quantitative, you are using questionnaire checklist. So it depends on the methods and the research you are going to apply. Another is also in the results and discussion. So particularly in the results and discussion, this pertains to your or the result of the study based on the analysis conducted. So ano bang analysis na kinandak, whether it is statistical analysis or whether it is qualitative analysis of the data. Depending pa rin doon sa methodology na ginagamit ng researcher. So basically, the latter is the latter is, for example, methodology still in consonance with the results of discussion. Okay, so for this, as you can see here, to provide an overview of the study's main findings and conclusions. So the abstract basically is the summary of the results of the study from the introduction down to conclusion. So yun po ang abstract. So ano bang nilalaman ng abstract? Basically the purpose, the purpose of your study. Ano ba ang purpose ng study? To explore. Pag sinasabing to explore, meaning qualitative yan. To determine, that is quantitative. So kaya the abstract itself provide a concise, informative or information regarding the studies, including its findings and conclusions. Andun po yan sa abstract. Okay. Now let's proceed to number 6 po. So what is the first steps in conducting research? Iba-iba po yung approach when it comes to conducting research. Merong nagsasabi, review the literature or analyze the data, define the research problem. So it depends. However, as we see in Creswell, kailangan po natin, first thing that you need to do is to define the research problem. When you are conducting research, kailangan po meron kayong problem before you will find a literature review. So, doon na po papasok din yung design of the research. So, the first thing that you need to do is to define the research problem, followed by the review of related literature and design research or research design, and then analyze data. Yun po ang pagkakasunod nila. Why? Basing on this, when we say define the research problem, first we need to identify kung ano ang problema na kailangan natin. So, and then after that, you need to have the review of related literature for you to identify what is the gap of your study. Doon po natin makikita po itong research problem sa statement of the problem. Andun po sa introduction ng research. or ng chapter 1 when it comes to thesis. Now, in the literature review, pag thesis po yung tinitingnan natin, ito po ay chapter 2. No? Or tinatawag po natin itong review of related studies or review of related literature. So RRL po, review of related studies and literature. Now, after reviewing the literature, doon po tayo makagagawa ng research design. Kung ano bang gusto natin i-identify, no? As well as the analysis of data, doon po din natin maa-anchor when it comes to steps of doing research. Okay? Now, let's proceed to question number 7. What is the final step in doing research? Okay? So the answer po here is interpret and report. This letter C po. Okay? Now, the first option is define research problem is the first step in doing research. Okay? So after that, after you define the problem, you create an assumption. You assume that, for example, A has a relationship with D, or the attitude has a relationship with the values of a person. That is a hypothesis. No? You formulate an assumption from the problem. So, part yan ng chapter 1 ng research natin. And then, design research, ito po ay chapter 3 na thesis and methodology for the MRAD format. Okay? So the answer is interpret and report. Basically, dito po nangyayari yung interpretation and discussion of research results. Okay. So for the justification, so defining the research problem is the early steps of research process. It involves identifying and clearly stating the specific issue, topic, or questions that the research aim to address. So it involves identifying clearly stating the specific issues, topics, or questions that the research aims to address. The steps helps guides the entire research process and shape the subsequent steps. Now, for formulation of hypothesis, as I have mentioned, typically this is associated with quantitative kasi sa qualitative wala na po tayo hypothesis. Now, it involves proposing a tentative explanation or prediction about the relationship between variables, which can be tested through data collection and analysis. So, not all research nagre-require ng hypothesis. For instance, if the research is pertaining to descriptive research only, so wala po tayo hypothesis doon. But if it is involving inferential questions, the inferential questions, whether it is in relationship or in difference between variables, ito po ay it needs hypothesis. So, lagi po nating tandaan pag ang research ay merong hypothetical questions or meron siyang inferential questions na kailangan po ng inferential statistics, ito po ay nangangailangan ng hypothesis. Okay? So, research designing is, and the option D is research designing is followed after the review of related literature. Okay, now let's proceed to question number 8. It is a quality of research which tells that something is based on direct experience or observation by the researcher. Ito po ay empirical, meaning the result of the research is based on actual observation. No? When we say, pag sinabi natin methodical, ibig sabihin po, we are following the steps in conducting research. For instance, pag ito po ay quantitative. So ano bang procedure ng quantitative? Meron po tayong if hindi tayo nag-adapt ng standardized questionnaire. So if you want to make your own questionnaire, kailangan nyo po mag-undergo ng pilot testing. So during the pilot testing, iti-test nyo po yung alpha coefficient ng inyong questionnaire, whether it passes or not, whether it is suitable for use or not. So yun po ang tinatawag nating reliability testing. No? We are testing the reliability of the questionnaires or the conduct of the study. So that is methodological or methodical. No? You are following methods. So ano po yun? The test that we are using to determine whether the questionnaire is reliable or not is Cronbach's alpha. So we are testing the reliability. Well, for the other aspect of methodological aspect of, for example, questionnaire, so it also involves, aside from reliability, it also involves validity. So whether it is reliable and valid. So reliability meaning we are testing the questions using Cronbach's alpha. Now, for validity, we are testing the questions or we are examining the questions based on the examination of, for example, experts of the field or examination of the panel of the instruments that you are about to use in gathering the data. So yun po yung sa validity. Yung content, meron tayong tinatawag na face validity and content validity. Yung face validity po, yung pong pag-arrangement po ng questions natin as well as arrangement po ng numbers and arrangement ng Likert scale. Yun po sa face validity. While content validity po, yun pong sa valid po, valid ba yung questions na gusto nating or valid ba yung mga questions na ina-ask natin sa questionnaire, whether it measures what is intended outcomes or what is intended to be measured. Okay, yun po. When it comes to critical, it involves examining literatures, in instance to support your claims, as well as the option D is analytical, meaning it needs analysis using statistics or if it is quantitative. For qualitative, whether it is content analysis or thematic analysis. Okay. Let's proceed to question number 9. So research is blank if it exhibits careful and precise judgment. The answer for this is critical. So bakit critical? When it comes to exhibits careful and precise judgment, we are weighing down the ano ba talaga ang totoo, no? By critically examining the responses or critically examining the interviews, it will result to, or it follows critical aspect of research. When we say empirical, so meaning we are following what is universally accepted procedures in conducting research. Now, that is empirical. Replicability, meaning yung research po can be conducted or can be reconducted or conducted by other persons and may yield the same or different results. So that is po the replicability of the research. Methodical, as we have said in the earlier slides, ito po ay following the accepted convention for research. Okay. So for question number 10, what represents a population? So pag sinabi po natin population, ito po yung mga targeted participants or respondents natin. So merong nagsagot ng B. Sample mean. Okay, ano kaya yung sagot dito? John Wick. Okay, B. Tingnan natin. Okay, the answer is sample size. Now, pag sinabi po nating population for qualitative, pwede, the standard for qualitative research is 6 to 10 if it is qualitative. Yan po ang standard. Pag quantitative po, mayroon po tayong tinatawag na questionnaire to determine the sample size. No? Sample size meaning yung pong gusto nating i-survey. For example, Filipinos, sabihin natin na yung Filipinos the population of the Filipinos are more than 100 million. Now, in the survey, for example, no, mga SW is a survey, they set only target population. For example, no, yung kinakandak nila is nagsiset sila ng 1,000 as the cap or the limit for a particular study. So that is a sample size, not the total population. For example, 100 million yung Filipinos, tawag natin doon total population. Total yon. So 100 million. Pag sinabi nating sample size, that is only a portion of the population or portion of the total population. Say for example, 10% lang kinuha nila. So or kumuha sila ng 0.01%, so that is 1,000 out of 1 million or 100 million, no? That's the sample size. Now when we say sample mean, ito po yung mean. Pag tinotal po lahat natin yung responses, divide the total number of the sample size, yun po ay mean. Pag confidence level naman po, ibig sabihin that is the 0.005 or 0.05 or the 95% confidence level. Pag social science po, meron po tayong tinatawag na 95% confidence level or 0.05 confidence level. Now for medical, medical uses po ng research, 0.01. Kaya po, kung makikita ninyo sa alcohol, it kills 99.9% of germs. Yung iba naghahanap, saan ba yung 0.1%? Baka ikaw yon, no? So hindi. Yung 0.01% po, that is the confidence level or 99.9% confidence level when it comes to medical research. Okay po, klaro na po ba yon? Now, when we say frequency naman, in the choices, we have the frequency. Ibig sabihin po ng frequency, this is referring to the number of responses given to a particular question. So frequency po yon. Ilan po yung nagsagot ng strongly agree? Ilan po yung nagsagot ng strongly disagree? That is a frequency. So yun po, no? Tandaan po natin yung mga terms na na-mention ko, nabanggit ko kanina. Okay. Now, let's proceed to question number 11. Using someone else's works or work to help you without their permission. Ano po kaya ito? Ano pong sagot ninyo? Okay, Boy Tapang. Sagot niya is letter A. Tingnan natin kung tama ba si Boy Tapang. Anonymous attendee also answered A. Okay, the answer is yes, plagiarism. So pag kinopya po natin yung gawa ng iba tapos inangkin natin sa atin, that is already considered as plagiarism. So to avoid plagiarism, anong gagawin? You need to cite others' work. No, para hindi ma-plagiarize. Okay? Now let's proceed to question number 12. Okay, sorry po. This contains and lists all of your citations from the information you use your research. The answer po is bibliography. So, bibliographic or works cited, other term for this, ginagamit po nila is references. No? Also, meron pong iba, gumagamit din po ng literature cited. So, magkaparehas lang po yung mga terms na yon. Bibliography, works cited, or literature cited as well as references, pareho lang po sila. Diba? Okay. Proceed na po ako sa number 13. Ano kaya po yung answer ninyo? Please share your thoughts. Okay. The answer is structured interview. So, the question for number 13, there is a set of fixed predetermined questions that are presented to every participant in the same order and in the same way. So when we say structured interview po, it is referring to qualitative research. No? Pag interview, let us not forget that data gathering procedures for qualitative research is using interview. For quantitative, if it is primary data, we are gathering, we can use questionnaire. Okay? So structured interview, semi-structured interview, and unstructured interview. So ano bang kaibahan dito? So when we say semi-structured interview, this pertains to meron tayong guide na interviews. However, we are asking follow-up questions that is not under our interview guide. No? Wala po doon sa interview guide, pero we need to follow up or we need to ask a follow-up question. So yun po ay semi-structured interview. So kung sabihin naman natin unstructured interview, wala po tayong guide on. No, the researcher is asking free-flowing question or free-wheeling question po. Okay. So another, we have here question number 14. EPA style. No? The answer for this is letter A. Letter A po. Bakit? Okay. Let us always remember that when we cite for EPA, kailangan po i-cite po natin first kung more than 3 po or more than 2 po sila na mga authors. Yung citation na kailangan natin gamitin is name, tapos and others, 2015. For example, Silky et al. 2015. Bakit po ganito? Kasi po more than 3 or more na po yung mga researcher. So if isa lang po yung researcher natin, pwede po natin ilagay Silky. Pag dalawa sila, Silky and Patalingho, pwede rin po. Okay? Another, yung pong sa EPA citation, ito po yung sa study. No? Or tinatawag po natin itong in-text citation. In-text, ibig sabihin, nasa loob ng ating, nasa or in-text, andun sa paragraph nakasite. Kaya ganito po, Silky et al. 2015. No, in-text citation po ito. And it is the EPA format. No? EPA format or EPA style of formatting. Now let's proceed to question number 15. Nilagay ko po yung answer dito. Now, for question number 15, this refers to particular procedure or set of procedures applied in conducting a research or study. No? Among the choices, meron po tayong mga choices. So the answer for this is methodology. Now, bakit kaya methodology? So, methodology, this is in chapter 3 for our thesis, no? Chapter 3 sa thesis natin. Now, first is the introduction. So, let us always remember ang laman po ng introduction, it involves the background of the study, or it includes background of the study, yung theoretical framework, and conceptual framework of the study, as well as statement of the problem. Mayroon din po tayo doon sa introduction na hypothesis, if in case meron pong hypothesis yung study natin. And the schema of the study is also found in the introduction. No? Also, definitions of terms or yung pong operational definitions, makikita rin po natin doon sa introduction, as well as significance of the study. Now, for the review of related literature, so for the review of related literature, ito po yung mga studies na supporting our study. Now, previously conducted studies which can support our present study. So, yun pong sa literature natin, let us always remember na hindi at least 10 years prior yung pong citation na gagamitin. No? At least 10 years prior to the study. Yun po yung pinaka-standard when it comes to review of related literature and studies. Now for the methodology, which is the answer, so this is the procedures set for us to follow in conducting research. Now, meron din pong tinatawag nating other term for this methodology, tinatawag po natin itong research protocol. No? And what are the procedures that we need to follow when conducting research? Research protocol po. So chapter 3, that is the methodology. And the last option is findings, results, and recommendation. So pag thesis po, makikita po natin ito in the chapter 5. Okay. Chapter 5, ang findings and results. Okay. Next. Question number 16, no? Refers to the information or content from different sources related to the topic. Ang sagot po nito is literature. So, bakit literature? Let us always remember that when it comes to research, kailangan po ng literature to support our claims. No? Meron po tayo mga claims, in particularly yung claims po natin when it comes to recently conducted studies, yun po ay tinatawag nating literature. So to support our study and to support the results of our study also. So, okay. Now, methodology, as I have mentioned in the previous slides, this is the procedures that we need to follow. References, no? Maraming tawag dito, pero in standard form, tinatawag itong references when it comes to EPA 7th edition format or citation format. So references. Okay, pwede tawagin bibliography, pwede tawagin literature cited. Next, sources you used on your research. So ito po ay tinatawag nating reference. Reference po. Reference, Pag EPA format po, when it comes to the research, researches conducted, pag references po in journals, let us always remember that in the arrangement, una po yung family name, followed by the name of the researcher, followed by the year it was published, and after, the title of the research, followed by the journals, and the link of the research. Okay? Okay. I apologize for the clerical error of the choices, no? Pero yung answer po is references. Okay, thank you po. Okay, next. It establishes the scope, context, and significance of the research to be conducted. This also states the purpose why the study will be conducted. So, ito po ay introduction. So as I have mentioned, no, pag na introduction, andun po yung background of the study as well as yung statement of the problem. So nilalaman po ng statement of the problem is kung ano po yung purpose of the study or ano po yung what are you referring to or what are you trying to explore or trying to measure when it comes to your research. Okay? So, doon po makikita sa introduction. Okay, next. Dito po tayo. Review of related literature. No? Ito po ay mga summary, no, of published and other scholarly works. Whether it is a research or an idea or a concept presented by a person. Covered po yon sa related literature and studies. Now, for the methodology, baka magtaka kayo bakit palagi kong nire-repeat kasi for you to really contextualize the terms. Importante po yon. No? When it comes to methodology, okay, sa methodology po natin, this is the section of our research design. So pag sinasabi natin research design, it pertains po doon sa design whether it is qualitative, quantitative, or mixed methods of research. So pag sinabi nating quantitative, meron po tayong descriptive. Ano ba yung descriptive? So pag descriptive, meaning we are only describing the data gathered. So ilan yung nag-yes, ilan yung nag-no, ilan yung strongly agree, ilan yung strongly disagree, that is all only descriptive. Pag correlational naman, no, meron tayong study, descriptive correlational research. So pag correlational, for example, makaapekto ba yon sa respond ng isang tao yung edad niya? No? For example, does the age affects the response of a person to crime prevention? Example yan. That is correlational. Or pwede ba nating magkaiba ba sila ng answer doon sa lalaki at sa babae? Still, that is, or we are measuring the difference. So pag correlational, we are correlating the responses. No? Another is in the methods, for example, sampling. Maraming types of sampling. No? Whether it is snowball sampling. Ano ba yung snowball? So pag sinabi nating snowball, may kaibigan ka, tapos nagkita kayo, may kakilala ka or nagkanda ka ng research, prostitute, tapos wala kang ibang makitang prostitute, isa lang. So tanungin mo yung prostitute na, oh, sino pang kilala mong prostitute? Yan ay snowball sampling. Purposive sampling naman is you are determining the qualifications of your participants or respondents. Marami po ang types ng sampling methods when it comes to methods and procedures to collect and analyze the data. So, in the latter slide, andun po, madidiscuss din po natin kung ano po yung mga types of methodology. No? In analyzing the data, meron po tayong mean, frequency count, tapos percentage. So, isa-isahin po natin. Pag mean, ibig sabihin, lahat ng sumagot, no? Lahat ng sumagot, ano ang sagot nila? For example, 5, merong nag-4, merong nag-3. So, lahat ng nag-answer ng 4, i-divide natin into total number of the respondents. So, yun po ay mean. We get the total number of responses. That is mean. And divide it to total numbers of participants. Mean po yun. Percentage, meaning we get the total numbers or by percent. Percentage. 10 yung participants or respondents, kinuha natin, nagsagot sila ng 5 ang nagsagot. So meaning the percent is 50. So that is percentage or percent. Also, we have the frequency. No. Ilan yung nagsagot? No. Iba yung mean, iba yung percentage, iba yung frequency. So frequency, for instance, 10 ang nagsagot ng strongly agree. So 10, that is the frequency. Okay? Yung mean, 100 sila. Tapos 10 yung nagsagot ng 5. Divide mo yun ng 100. So that is the result. No? That is mean. Now, results and recommendation, ito po yung makikita natin after the analysis of the data. Processing the data by means of inferential statistics, no? ANOVA, meron din tayong t-test, no? Later in the latter part of the study or in the latter part of this discussion, madidiscuss po natin kung ano po yung t-test, ANOVA, as well as other test, statistical test po. Okay. Next, what research strategy is used by the linguist study of the content of the different websites and rates of their level of English. For example, ipalagay natin na criminology, no? In crime, no? Narratives of crime victims. So, ang gagamitin po natin na analysis is content analysis. No? Sabi niya, for instance, he is saying na, I was so scared. We cannot rate that into 1 to 5. Kaya, the thing that we are using or the analysis that we need to use is the content analysis. Okay? So, when we say observation, pwede po yung observation whether quantitative or qualitative. Depende po. Pag may rubrics po, for instance, demonstrating a laboratory activities in forensic, forensic, for example, forensic science or forensic chemistry, pwede po nating i-rate by observation or pwede rin po sa qualitative. It depends on the instrument that we are using. For the experiment, yung experiment po, this is purely quantitative, experimental. Quantitative po ito. Okay. Another is survey. So of course, that is also quantitative. Survey using questionnaires. Okay. Let's proceed to question number 20. Which of the following describes the purpose of qualitative research? The answer po is all of them. Pag sinabing it describes and answers question about participants and context, ibig sabihin, from the word, hindi po natin, wag po natin kalimutan yung mga keywords when it comes to qualitative research. Pag describes, yan po ay qualitative. Pag explore din po, still qualitative. Okay? As well as if it involves illuminating experiences or illuminating phenomenon, ito po ay qualitative. So pag quantitative, let us always remember pag sinabing level, for example, level of effectiveness of crime prevention. So that is quantitative kasi the keywords itself represents the types of research. Huwag po natin kalimutan yun. Also determine. Pag sinabing determine, still it is quantitative, I mean. No? Yun po ang mga keywords na kailangan nating i-memorize para maintindihan natin, para makuha natin kung ano pong kaibahan ng qualitative at saka quantitative. Meron pong keywords doon when it comes to their objectives. I will repeat. When it comes to the objective, if it says describes, explores, or illuminates, yun po ay qualitative. Pag naman po, if determines, or know, or identify, yun po ay quantitative. Okay? Next. A qualitative research design seeking to describe and analyze or part of culture of the community is known as the answer is ethnographic study. Pag cultural studies po involving cultures all throughout the world, for example, genocide, no? Rohingya genocide, palagay natin ganun. Pag genocide po, ito po ay ethnographic. So, ibig sabihin, it involves culture. Yung historical study naman in option A, this pertains to a research of previous occurrence or events or historical research. Pag sinabi naman po action research, no? Ito po ay makabagong areas of research. Makabago. Bakit? The purpose of action research is to solve a particular problem. Kailangan po natin action research which needs immediate action. A particular problem needing particular actions or solution. Ito po ay action research. Pag grounded theory naman po, ito po ay belonging to qualitative research. Wherein, out from the statements and the narratives of the participants. Huwag po kayong malito ha. Pag sinabing participants, ito po ay for qualitative research. Baka po may tanong sa board exam na what is the difference between participants and respondents? Pag tinanong kayo dyan, alam nyo na. Pag participants, basically, yun po ay referring to qualitative studies. Pag respondents naman po, that is referring to survey. Survey or quantitative research. Other term for participants, tinatawag din po nilang informants. Okay? Sa iba, informants or participants. Now, grounded theory, out from that, you create a theory from the narratives of the participants. Gumagawa tayo ng makabagong theory. Okay? Okay, next for 22. a qualitative research design in which the data related to the past events systematically collected and evaluated to describe potential causes, effects, or trends related to those events is known as historical data or historical research. Okay? Na-mention ko na po ito kanina. Now, for 23, based on this question, which of the following must be accomplished first when conducting a research study? Diba? Naitanong kanina in the previous slides kung ano ba yung pinakaunang steps when you are doing research. You define the problem. Di ba? Determine the problem first. Now, bakit sa question na ito? Conducting na po tayo, no? We are already conducting the research. Now, ano po ang pinakaunang approach na gagamitin natin? No? Meron na tayong problem, meron na tayong procedures. The thing that we need to know is, or we need to do is to negotiate the entry into the research site. Kailangan po natin i-negotiate muna yung sa entry site. So, if we are conducting research, tinatawag po natin itong ethical protocols. Meaning, when we say ethical protocols, we are following the ethical standard in conducting research, in particular, conducting research to human subjects. So, we need to follow the methodology of conducting ethical research. So, una, negotiate the intro into the research site. Saan po tayo hihingin ito? If research po, doon po tayo mag-ask ng approval from the institution. Tapos, for example, pag sa police po i-conduct natin or sa BGMP, meron po silang protocol, no? Recently, yung protocol po ng BGMP, before you can gather the data, you need to negotiate from the regional office that you need to conduct this research and get the approval of the regional office prior to the conduct of the study. Ito po ay covered ng ethical standard of conducting research. Okay? Or tinatawag po natin itong ethics. No? Yung sa iba, ethical standard, or yung sa iba naman, ethical guidelines. Okay? Pero, pareha lang po yung mga terms na yon, ethical standard or ethical guidelines. Pareho lang po sila. Okay. Next. For slide number 24. An individual with an exceptional memory is identified. She is capable of recalling major events, the weather, and what she did on any given date. What research method is being used? If a psychologist conduct an in-depth investigation of this individual, including questionnaires, brain scans, and memory. So, ito po ay belonging to qualitative study. Bakit po? Okay. Tandaan po natin na hindi lamang po ang case study po, pwede po siyang qualitative or quantitative, no? Meron po dito, based on the situation given, meron po tayong quantitative and qualitative. For example, yung sa questionnaires, that is involving quantitative, no? Quantitative po yan. Tapos sa brain scan naman, hindi naman natin ma-measure yan by 1 to 5, no? As well as memory test. So basically, a case study method belongs to not only qualitative but also quantitative. So meron pong mga areas na case study po ginagawang quantitative, meron din pong qualitative. For instance, pag it involves example problems in an organization, for example, no, police organization efficiency. pwede po nating i-measure yung efficiency using numbers based on their results, no? Based on the results, based on the arrest, as well as based on crime prevented. Pwede po yung case study. No? Pwede po siyang numbers, pwede din po as a means of qualitative. But basically, pag sinabing case study kasi, we perceive that it is only referring to qualitative. Pero meron din po yung quantitative. No? For example, business. Sa business po, yung case study is involving numbers. Social sciences naman po, particularly criminology, no? Sa field po natin, case study involves qualitative or whether it is quantitative when we are referring to organizational studies. Okay, so survey, among the choices we have survey. In survey, we have questionnaires. No? Pag questionnaires, meron din po tayong types of questionnaires. No? Let us always remember the terms. Pag survey po, meron pong standardized questionnaires. Ibig sabihin, ito po ay nag-undergo ng rigorous process. Yung iba binibenta, particularly pag personality test or psychological test, yun po ay standardized survey or standardized questionnaire. So meron din po tayong questionnaire na self-made. Ibig sabihin, ginawa po, in-undergo ng testing, pilot testing ng mga researchers at inadapt for the current study, that is survey, which is self-made. Okay? So, for option B, meron po tayong interview. So, for interview, meron pong tatlong methods ng interview. So, doon po sa previous slides, na-present naman po yung structured, semi-structured, at saka unstructured interviews. So, pag interview, the researcher is using a validated, no? Validated lang po. Wala pong reliability testing. Validation lang po ng research kasi quali po pag interview, no? So pag sinabing structured, ibig sabihin lahat ng questions ay andun po sa interview guide. Wala na pong ibang tanong. Kung wala doon sa interview guide, yun lang po, hindi po kailangang itanong. That is structured. Semi-structured, ibig sabihin, nagtatanong yung researcher, tapos merong mga clarifications which is not found in the interview guide, yun po ay semi-structured. No? Mga follow-up questions. While unstructured naman po, wala talagang guide, as long as kung anong gusto niyang itanong, itatanong niya, that is unstructured. Or the researcher himself is free to ask anything, any questions. Okay. And case study, this is the answer, no, as I have explained earlier. And the last option is naturalistic observation. So yun pong naturalistic observation, ito po ay observation of the participants. Remember, participants. Kasi po ito po ay belonging to gathering of data in the qualitative research. Natural setting, it means pwede pong alam ng person being studied or hindi niya alam. It depends, no? Meron din po kasing gathering of data nga na informed sila, tapos meron din pong uninformed, no? It depends on the study being conducted. Okay? Okay. For 25, if you paraphrase, summarize, or directly quote information, you must always remember it is important to cite the source. Okay? So for instance, in option A, research source. So pag sinabi po nating research source, ito po yung mga citations. No? Say for instance, Duterte 2017. So ito po yung mga research source. Okay? Mga study, whether it is a book, a site or website, a literature, or a previous study conducted. Yun po ay mga research source. Okay. Now, let's proceed to question number 26. Sa data po natin, data is defined as, let us always remember that data is a collection of information. However, meron pong dalawang klase ng data when it comes to research. Primary and secondary data sources. Pag sinabi po nating primary sources, ano po yung primary sources? Ibig sabihin po, yung data po natin na ginathered is a first-hand data. Through questionnaires, through interviews, and through observation. Ito po ay first or primary data as part of the types of data. Meron din po tayong secondary data. So ano po itong secondary data? Say for instance, pag sinabi nating secondary data, police blotters, also crime victims, another is mga literatures and previous studies or literature reviews. Ito po ay secondary data collection. So, tandaan po natin yung dalawang type of data when it comes to research, primary, tapos meron din po secondary. Pag sinabing primary, gathered through actual surveys, interviews, and observation. First hand po. Pag sinabing secondary, gathered through online sources, statistics, and other sources. For example, police blotters, blogs, and others. Okay, now let's proceed to 27. Francisca wants to know if his classmate prefer pineapple on other pizza. What research method should be used? Okay. So pag ganito po, example, marami, classmate kasi, sinabi dito classmates. Pag classmates, ibig sabihin, marami. You cannot have an objective results. Diba? Hindi sa objective kasi marami sila. Now, the best thing to use in this situation is survey. Survey. Ilan ba ang gustong kumain ng pineapple? So you need to conduct survey. For example, 20 sila. So ilan out of 20, ilan ang gustong kumain? So that is needing a survey. Now, in the areas of which hindi ma-measure ng survey, for example, in this situation, ipalagay natin na gusto nilang kumain ng pineapple. So, bakit gusto nilang kumain ng pineapple? These questions cannot be answered by a survey. It needs a qualitative approach. Okay? So, case study. Among the choices, we have case study. So, in particular, let us always remember pag case study po, particular issues, especially those peculiar one, peculiar, ibig sabihin, hindi common na mga situations needs case study. For example, why a child engaged into the use of drugs? Does family influence children using drugs? So, pwede po nating i-case study yon. Another is longitudinal study. If you want to study a long period of time from birth to death or from childhood to adulthood, kailangan po ng longitudinal studies. No. Another experiment. So if new drugs is developed, pwede mag-experiment. So also crime prevention approach can be conducted na experiment. So, for example, yung experiment ng Kansas when it comes to crime prevention approach. So, survey. So again, no, pag survey, we are generalizing. No. Yung keyword po ng survey, generalizing the responses or generalizing the concept. Yun po ay survey. Okay. Next question. An intensive investigation of one or more participants is case study. Okay. Sa case study po or special case po yung case study, pwede po isa lang. Isang participant pwede i-conduct yung case study. Others, for example, phenomenological study, kailangan po natin ng data saturation, no? Bago tayo mag-stop. So ano ba yung data saturation? Let us always remember, pag yung responses is already repeated, no? Pwede na po tayo mag-stop. For example, no? 6 participants. We see data saturation or the responses of the participants have commonalities. Pare-pareho na yung sagot niya. So, we have reached the point of data saturation. For qualitative study, kailangan po nating ma-remember when we are conducting interviews, whether it is focus group discussion or in-depth interview, pag na-reach na po yung point na pabalik-balik na po yung sagot ng participants, yun po ay tinatawag nating data saturation. We have reached the point of data saturation. Okay? So, doon po sa quantitative, wala po tayong data saturation. Okay? Kasi we are generalizing the results. Most commonly, pag nag-compute po tayo ng data, meron pong computation. Pwedeng gumamit ng online tawag natin sample size calculator, or pwede din po tayong mag-base doon sa na-set na standard for number of respondents for each population. Okay. Next question is, we have here, a college counselor met a student who was experiencing stress due to family problems. During lunch, the counselor shared with her friend of the session she had with the students and family issue that the students was facing. This shows that the counselor had a breach which ethical code. Sagot po dito ay confidentiality. So part po ng ethical procedures and ethical standard of conducting research is yun pong confidentiality. Meaning, the data gathered in the conduct of the study is kept secret and for the use of research purposes only. Yun po tandaan natin, confidentiality is part of ethical standard for conducting research. So, among the choices, meron po tayong informed consent. Okay. Informed consent is acquired prior to the conduct of the study. No? Ito po ay statement allowing the research, allowing the gathering of data and showing that the participants or the respondents allowed that the researcher will gather data from his or her. Yun po ay informed consent. Now for voluntary participant, it means ang research po ay kailangan ng voluntary participation. No? Wala pong force, wala pong malice in the conduct of research. It should be free will of the respondents or participants in answering or responding to the queries or questions asked. And also, option D, withdrawal of rights. Meron pong right si participants or respondents not to continue the research. And that is part of the ethical guidelines or ethical standards in conducting research. So, yun po, confidentiality meaning everything or anything that you gathered pertaining to the information of the participants will be kept secret and will be destroyed afterwards after conducting the research. So, yun po ay ethical standard. Okay? Lahat po ng research, yung iba, after 2 months, dinidelete po lahat ng information. No? Wala na pong information regarding the participants. That is part of the confidentiality ng research. Okay. Now let's proceed to number 30. So blank refers to the protection of people's identity through not disclosing their names or not knowing it. That is still confidentiality. So another is, pasensya na po sa later kasi mag-generate po siya automatically, no? But the answer is confidentiality. Now, for the privacy, meaning if the participants would not disclose, no? For example, participants is hesitant to disclose the information. So we need to respect his privacy, no? As well as anonymity. Part of ethical considerations po ito na kailangan kung sino po ang in-interview, hindi po ma-identify kung sino po yung sumagot. That is anonymity. No? The identity of the participants will be kept anonymous. Okay? Now let's proceed to 31. Which type of research design is commonly used to study cause and effect relationship? So, ito po ay experimental research. So, for instance, drug development, no? Cause and effect po ang ginagamit natin. Okay. So, pag sinabing descriptive research, ano pong ibig sabihin dito? Descriptive meaning we are only describing, we are only telling their responses. Say for instance, palagay natin na ito po ay mga descriptive lang. Gaano ka-effective ba yung crime prevention sa inyong lugar? So sumagot yung participant or yung respondents na very effective. So pag-interpret po natin doon without the statistical analysis or we call this inferential analysis, yun po ay descriptive. Pag correlational na po, say for instance crime prevention and the crime rate, i-correlate po natin yung crime prevention sa crime rate,
Does the crime prevention affects the crime rate in the place? Ito po ay correlational research. No? Another is for experimental, yun nga po sinabi ko kanina, pag drugs po, nag-develop tayo, increasing the dosage, increasing the amount, cause and effect po yun. No? For instance, does crime prevention results to lesser crime incidents? Ito po ay experimental. No? Another observational, yung example to this, you are having a research observing prisoners, what are their actions inside the jail, observational po yun. Okay. Now for number 33, what is the purpose of statistical analysis? Bakit kailangan natin mag-analyze ng data? Pwede naman na i-display natin in table. Table lang naman. Why we need to use inferential or other statistical analysis? So the answer is to summarize data and draw conclusion. Okay? Pag in-analyze po natin yung data, in particular, meron po tayong hypothesis. No? Meron po tayong hypothesize na question. We need to analyze the data for us to draw conclusion. So say for instance, regression analysis po. Ibig sabihin, a good example of regression analysis pag is police presence affects crime commission in the area. Pwede po nating ma-determine yon by using regression analysis. So, i-analyze po natin yung data, no? So we can draw conclusion. Okay. So, next, number 34. Which type of research collects data from the select group of individual who possess specific characteristics? So, pag sinabi po nating group of individuals, ito po ay focus group research. No? Meron din po tayong tinatawag na focus group discussion when we gather data. Okay? Dalawang klase po pag interview ang ginagamit natin. Okay, when we ask questions, pwede pong in-depth interview, meron din pong focus group discussion sa qualitative study po. Okay, paano po ginagawa? Pag in-depth interview po, this is referring to one person only. No? Isang tao at a time ang ini-interview. That is in-depth interview. Pag focus group naman po, maraming involved. Pwede 6, pwede 10 tao. At the same time, ini-interview mo, present sila doon. That is a focus group interview. So, focus group research. Among the questions, meron po tayo dito, randomized controlled trials. Ito po is randomized. Ibig sabihin, experimental po ito. So, if naaalala nyo, yung vaccine ng COVID, meron tayong randomized controlled trial. Selected yung nag-participate, bata, matanda, age range nila is different. So, ibig sabihin, ito po ay controlled trial. Quasi-experimental, also, a quantitative focus group research is a qualitative research. So, that's it po. Okay, 34. Let's proceed to number 35. What is the purpose of peer review process in research? Or what is the purpose of peer review in the research process? Bakit kaya po merong panel? Bakit kaya merong mga reviewers ipapublish natin yung research? So basically, when it comes to scientific research, kailangan po yan. No? Sa panel natin, at least tatlo po yung present. Pero dapat meron mostly 5, pero pwede rin 3. Okay, sino-sino ang composition? Tandaan po natin, ang composition is statistician kung quantitative research. Meron din po tayo English critic. Meron, itong 3, ito yung panel talaga. Sa composition ng panel, there is a chairman. Tapos yung isa is the content content expert. Ibig sabihin sa yung content expert, anong format ng research, anong mga procedures na dapat gawin. Another is yung pangatlo sa composition, if wala yung dalawa English at saka statistician, is the third one, the field expert. So siya po yung mag-a-analyze if kailangan po ba itong i-conduct within this particular issue, no? So ito po yung research process. So bale sila po yung mga nag-scrutinize ng process natin, no? Pag publications naman po, peer reviewers are those who review the paper. If it qualifies or pass the standards. The same pa rin po yon sa thesis. Okay? Tandaan po natin yon. 3 or 5. Depende. Merong 3, merong 5. Pero hindi mawawala yung chairman, hindi mawawala yung content expert, tapos hindi mawawala yung field experts. Okay? Now, let's proceed to 35 again. Sorry po for the numbering. Which type of research design is used to study rare or unique phenomenon? Indeed. Ito po ay case study. Now, meron po tayo dito mga choices. Exploratory research. Meron po mga exploratory research. Ano-ano po ito? Una po, if you want to explore the experience of the participants in a particular event, say for instance, crime victimization. Another is explore the police experiences in preventing crimes. Explore police, explore the tawag natin, explore the parole and provision officers' experiences in handling parole and provision or parole and provisioner. Yun po ay mga exploratory. So ang case study po pwede rin po mag-qualify into exploratory research as well as phenomenological and narratology or narrative research. Pag sinabi po nating phenomenological, ibig sabihin we are exploring the experience, lived experience of the participants. Pag sinabi nating lived experience, ito po ay tapos na. Mga experience na tapos na. Lived experience. Exploratory research po yon. As well as narrative or narratology approach or narratology research. Okay? Pag experimental, na-mention ko na po kanina. Now, meron po tayong cross-sectional research. Ano po ito? No? Pag sinabing cross-sectional research, ibig sabihin po na a group of participants, ipalagay natin, ano po ang perception ng tao when it comes to crime prevention or when it comes to drug, ilagay natin na yung proliferation of drugs in the community. Okay. Pag sinabi natin cross-sectional research, meron po tayong group ng mga youth, 50 mga minors, palagay natin 18 and below. Meron din pong group ng mga respondents belonging to 20 to 30 yung edad. Tapos 31 to 40 and 40 and up. Okay. Pag cross-sectional research, we determine the responses. So, ibig sabihin, the difference of their responses. Kung anong kaibahan ba ng response ng age range na ito belongs to cross-sectional. Or another example of cross-sectional research is isang city, i-compared mo sa isang city. Or i-compared mo sa isang one city compared to another city when it comes to their perception of crime prevention. Another, a country to a country. This is a cross-sectional research. Malaysia and Philippines, cross-sectional research po yun. As long as you are comparing one situation between two different countries, two different participants, or two different respondents. Yan po ay cross-sectional. Ibig sabihin, hinati nyo po yung mga respondents tapos in-assist nyo yung mga responses nila. Cross-sectional po yun. Okay. Let's proceed to number 36. What is the primary goal of quantitative research? So, ito ang goal po ng research, particularly quantitative, is to explore and understand the phenomenon. No? Among other choices, B, to test the hypothesis and theories. Hindi po ito quantitative. Ito po ay qualitative. Pag mayroon pong hypothesis tapos to test the theory, that is quantitative. But if theory building, you will generate a theory, you need a quantitative. Pero pag you need to test a theory, it needs qualitative. Or I mean quantitative. Okay? Next is generate rich detailed description as well as to conduct in-depth interviews. Ito po ay qualitative. Okay. Let's proceed to 37. Pasensya na po sa answer, no? Explain ko na lang po. Which type of research involves analyzing and interpreting existing data? So ito po ay analyzing and interpreting existing data. Ito po ay correlational research. Pwede rin pong descriptive, pwede rin pong experimental. Pero the best answer po dito, kasi meron tayong analyzing and interpreting, ito po ay correlational research. Okay? Let's proceed to 38. Which type of research involves observing and recording behavior in natural setting? So ito po ay observational. Na-mention ko na po yung experimental as well as yung correlational. Huwag po nating kalimutan, pag correlational po, relationship po yung tinitingnan natin. Okay? Correlational po yun. Pag longitudinal, ito po ay research that involves long process, long duration. No? Longitudinal. The duration itself may it be 2 years to 5 years. It depends on the research objectives. Okay. Next. Slides po. Which statistical test is used to determine if there is a significant difference between two groups? Ito na po tayo, no? Ito po yung problem ng mga criminology student, especially criminology graduates. Kasi po, hindi po tayo mahilig sa statistics. Pag involved po ng numbers, Hindi po tayo mahilig doon. Okay, the answer po is t-test. So meron po tayong pag 2 groups po, t-test po yan. Okay? Let me explain this. Okay. Among the choices, makikita po natin, merong chi-square test, ANOVA test, and regression analysis. So pag sinabi po natin chi-square, this is referring to categorical variables. Identify po natin, meron pong categories, chi-square po yan. Pero pag wala pong categories, yun po ay t-test. Okay? Correlation din po ito. However, the difference between the t-test is 2 groups of participants or 2 groups of respondents. Ang chi-square test is the variable itself. Wala pong in-identify na it does not refer to the respondents, but on the variables itself. Now, it is commonly used to analyze contingency tables and assess if there is a significant relationship between variables. Okay. Another, we have the ANOVA, or the analysis of variance. Okay. This is a statistical test used to determine if there is significant difference. Tandaan po natin, yung dalawang chi-square or t-test, relationship po yung mini-measure dito. Pag ANOVA naman po is difference. Okay? ANOVA po yun. Pag regression naman po, regression analysis, this is used to predict. No? We are using the analysis not to correlate or not to determine the difference, but to predict their likelihood. Kung ano ba, pwede ba na ang crime prevention maka-affect or yung age maka-affect or numbers of police maka-affect doon sa crime prevention? Okay. That is already a regression analysis. Pero marami pong mga variables involved. So meron din pong mga different variables, no? Lagi nating tandaan na common variables na makikita natin in conducting quantitative research is yung pong independent and dependent variables. Okay? Meron din po tayong mediating variables or intervening variables. Okay? So in the latter part of the discussion, meron din madidiscuss po natin yon, yung mga types of variables. Okay? So tandaan po natin, pag variables involved, that is quantitative. Okay. Now, the question is here. Which statistical test is used to determine if there is a significant difference among the 3 or more independent groups? Okay, anong test gagamitin? ANOVA. Pag difference. Tandaan po, ANOVA if we need to test the difference. T-test kung association or relationship between 2 groups. Chi-square to determine the correlation with variables or with several number of variables po. Okay? Tandaan po natin yon. Regression analysis is to predict. Keywords natin, a chi-square test is relationship having varied variables. T-test, relationship between 2 groups. ANOVA, difference among groups. Regression analysis, prediction po. Yun po ang mga keywords na kailangan nating tandaan. Okay? when it comes to statistics or statistical analysis or data analysis. Okay? So ito po yung gagamitin ng mga test if we are referring to inferential statistics. Inferential na po. So t-test, square, ANOVA, and regression analysis. Ito po yung pinaka-common na ginagawa. Okay? Don't forget the keyword for this. The square test is relationship having variables. T-test, relationship of two groups. ANOVA is test of difference or analysis of variance. Regression analysis is test of prediction. Okay? Tandaan po natin. Okay, number 41 po, which statistical analysis is used to examine relationship between one dependent variables and multiple independent variables? Same din po, no? Because we are predicting in this aspect. Pag multiple na marami na, regression analysis. Okay, 42. Sampling na po tayo. Part of chapter 3 of our research. Okay. Which sampling method involves selecting participants randomly from the impact population, giving each member an equal chance of being chosen? So random sampling po ito. Okay. Kahit sino pwedeng mag-participate, that is considered random sampling. In random sampling, meron din po tayong simple random sampling. Simple. Meaning, kahit sino. Okay? Meron din po tayong plain random sampling. For example, group of respondents, bubunutin po yon, isusulat yung number nila, bubunutin, that is systematic random sampling. Okay? But basically, ginagamit sa research is the term random sampling. Ibig sabihin, anybody has an equal chance to be chosen as the participants. Pag sinabi naman po natin convenience sampling, ito po ay pertaining to sampling method that is easy. Anybody who is available can be the sample or the respondents of a study. That is convenience sampling at the convenience of the researcher. Convenient lang. Ikaw, pwede ka. Dito ka naman, magsagot ka dito sa test na to. So that is convenience sampling. Meron din po tayong stratified sampling. So ito pong stratified sampling, yung total population or the target population of the research will be divided into strata. Ibig sabihin po ng strata, group of, or they will be grouped into a strata. And each strata will be represented by a sample. For example, 100 kayo. Sige, you group yourself into 10. Each 10, kuha tayo ng 2 per 10. That is stratified sampling. Okay. From the total population, we group them, we select a strata or a group of people, and then we select from the group a sample. That is stratified sampling. The other types of sampling is purposive sampling. Or we call this, the other term for this is judgment sampling or judgmental sampling. Kasi po, yung researcher yung magdidetermine kung sino po ang pwedeng sumagot based on the criteria set. For example, purposive sampling in conducting a research about crime prevention. Only barangay officials as well as community can answer. So pwede po yung purposive sampling. As long as the sampling method is based on the judgment of the or the researcher. So, ang sampling method po is pwede whether it is quantitative or qualitative. Wala pong distinction between the two sa quantitative and qualitative. Lahat po ay applicable. No? But mostly, pag qualitative, ginagamit is purposive sampling. Okay? So, tandaan po natin yon. Okay. Let's proceed to number 43. Okay. So, ganito po yon. The sampling method involves selecting the participants based on specific criteria or characteristics that is relevant or that are relevant to the research study. Pero ang nagsiset po ng sampling method na ito is yun po researcher. Siya po ang nagsiset. Okay, let's proceed to question number 44. Pag yung sampling, as I have mentioned, merong accessibility and convenience in the side of the researchers. Ito po ay convenience sampling. Tandaan lang po natin yung mga keywords dito. Kasi importante din po when we take the board exam. Pag random sampling, alam naman natin po ito. Pag convenience naman, yung availability and accessibility. Yun po yung keywords. Stratified sampling naman, groupings or strata yung keywords dito. Pag purposive sampling, yung sa purposive sampling is identified based on the purpose of the results. Okay? Mga keywords kasi dapat nyo tandaan. Okay. Next, for number 45. So, for instance, in this aspect, pasensya na po na mali po yung answer ko dito. Sorry po. Pero yung answer po dito is stratified sampling. No? As you can notice in this question, I am also teaching you not only how to detect the answer but also to analyze the question. Una po, sampling method involve dividing the population. Hindi naman po nag-mention ng strata. Di po ba? Pero meron po siyang dividing the population into subgroups. Okay, yun po ay strata. O minsan, yung keywords kasi iniiba, no? But it is better if you have a keywords in a particular answer or in a particular term para po maintindihan natin ng maayos at masagutan niyo ng tama yung question. So for this instance, the answer for this is stratified sampling, or there is a subgroup in proportion to the representation in the population. Okay, or the strata or the stratified sampling. Okay, for 46, which sampling method involves selecting, iwan ko ba bakit ganito yung sagot dito? Iba naman yung okay? Sige lang po. Explain ko na lang po kung anong sagot dito. Which sampling method involves selecting participants based on their connection to individual who meet the studies criteria? So as I remember, na-mention ko po ito po ay snowball sampling. No? Pag meron kayong connection or kakilala, say for instance, yung prostitute. So, hindi naman natin alam o isang researcher, hindi naman niya kilala lahat, pwede niyan tanungin yung sample. Example, isang prostitute, tanungin niya, sino pa yung ibang mga prostitute dito? This is a snowball sampling. Okay? Selecting the participants based on their connection, snowball sampling po. Okay. For 47, when you study the group culture, you would employ an approach called, this is ethnography. Ethnography pa rin po ito. Cultural studies, lagi nating tandaan, cultural studies involves ethnography. Okay? Baka may tanong po. Another is, pwede rin po itong descriptive, pwede pong qualitative, pwede din pong quantitative. Depende po how the descriptive study is being used. Pwede po siyang descriptive quantitative research, pwede rin pong descriptive qualitative. Okay? Number 48 po, which type of quantitative research involves manipulating an independent variable to observe its effect on the dependent variable in controlled environment? Okay, andito na po tayo sa variables, no? Referring to variables, makikita nyo po, meron po tayong dependent and independent variables here. Pag sinabi pong dependent variables, it means that this was influenced by an independent variables. Yun pong independent variables, it is a variables that can stand by its own. For example, age, sex, or gender. Ito po ay mga independent variables. Pag sinabi po natin dependent, for example, yung perception po nila, yung age range, ano po yung perception is the dependent variable. Say for instance, crime prevention and the result is crime rate, no? Yung crime prevention po is independent, while the crime rate is dependent variables. Okay? Tandaan po natin yan. Now, let's proceed to question 49. Which type of quantitative research aims to describe and document the characteristics, behaviors, or opinion of group or population without manipulating the variables? Ibig sabihin po, wala po tayong ginagawang inferential statistics. Wala pong t-test, wala pong chi-square, wala pong ANOVA, walang regression analysis. So ito po ay belonging to descriptive research. Okay po? Descriptive research. Pero pag meron pong inferential statistics, pwede pong correlational or pwede po siyang predictive research. Okay. So, nangangalahati na po tayo. So, which type of quantitative research examines the relationship between two or more variables without establishing causality? Okay, wala pong causality. Okay? And does A affect B or affect C? Wala pong ganon. It is still a correlational. Ibig sabihin, if you want to correlate the pwede po kasi na correlational or predictive yung approach natin. For example, crime rate, no? Crime rate and crime prevention. So, or the feeling of safety and the crime prevention. Pwede po siyang correlational or pwede po siyang predictive. Means regression po, no? So, ibig ipalagay natin, for example, in correlational, is there a relationship between crime prevention and the perception of safety among community? Ito po ay correlational, no? Pag gusto po nating regression analysis, we will be using the regression analysis. Pwede po, is there a possibility that the crime prevention may affect the perception of safety among individual or among groups? Yun po ay regression analysis. Ang difference po ng correlational tapos regression is based on the question. Question po yung nire-refer natin dito. Okay? Also, we have the survey research. Explain na natin. Okay. For 51, which type of quantitative research collects data from the same group of participants over an extended period of time? Okay. Period to study changes or trends over time. So ito po yung longitudinal research. Pwede po na 5 years to 10 years ang study or even longer than that, no? When it comes to longitudinal research. Okay. Number 52, which type of quantitative research involves systematically analyzing and synthesizing the result of multiple studies to draw overall conclusion or identify patterns across a body of research. Tinatawag po natin itong meta-analysis. So, the meta-analysis, yung iba po ginagawa nila is review of the literature or review of related literatures. Meron pong particular study, iba po sa nakasanayan natin. Ito po ay meta-analysis or review or review study. Tinatawag po itong review study. When we synthesize the result of the study. Pero ang commonly known term for this, especially on publications, is the review, no? Review of a study. Tinatawag din po itong meta-analysis. Okay? Next, let's proceed to 53. Ito na po, meron po tayong mga variables. Okay? Which type of variables represents categories or groups that are mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive? Okay? Ito po ay categorical. Ano po yung mga choices dito? Meron po tayong continuous, categorical, independent, and dependent variables. Pag sinabi po natin continuous variables, say for instance, ganito po. Okay. Continuous variables is a type of quantitative variable that can take any numerical value within certain range. So bali, for example, edad. No? Or for example, yung monthly income natin, tinatawag po natin yung continuous variables because it has a range. So palagay natin yung poor andun sa 10,000 and below. So pasok po kayo doon sa 10,000 and below or 10,000 and above is poor. No? Above poor po kayo or above 4 po yung mga or above 4 po yung mga respondents, this type of variables is a continuous variables kasi po nagbabari po yung mga range nila. Pero pasok po within that particular range. So example natin, normal, ipalagay natin yung temperature or ipalagay natin yung age. Tapos yung presyo ng bilihin. Pwede rin po continuous variable po yon. Kasi nag-vary po siya but within the particular range. Okay? Meron din po tayong independent variable. No? Ano ba itong independent variable? An independent variable, ito po ay mga variables na pwede po nating i-manipulate. Okay, for instance, yung edad ng participants natin or yung edad ng respondents natin. So basically, when we say independent variables, pwede po nating manipulate, pwede po nating ilagay sa range ng edad nila. From 10 to 20 or from 20 to 30. Ito po ay pwede nating ma-manipulate based on the data. Okay. While the result po, for instance, perception ng tao regarding the proliferation of drugs in the community, no? When it comes to edad, pwede po natin yung maging independent variables. Pag dependent naman po, pwede po ito po ay observed or measured na mga variables. Okay? Say for instance, observed variable yung perception nila or yung level of awareness nila. Ito po ay mga dependent variables. Okay? Which type of variable is measured on scale with equal intervals between values and as numerical values? So, pag may intervals po, yung na-mention kanina, yung may intervals, di ba? Age range, interval po yun. So, pag merong interval, yun po ay continuous variables. From 1 to 5, from 6 to 10, ito po ay interval at classified as continuous variables. Okay. So, another question is, pag ma-manipulate po yung data, pwede po natin i-control. If it is experiment, yan po ay independent variables. Kailangan po natin i-remember yung mga keywords nila. Pag continuous, meron po siyang range. Continuous po yan. Pag categorical, wala pong range. Pwede categorical, male and female. Okay. Wala pong range. Pag independent naman, pwede ma-manipulate at control. Yun po yung keywords niya. Tapos independent variables, this is expected or the measured. That is dependent variables. Yun po mga keyword na dapat ating tandaan when it comes to research variables. Okay. For 56, which type of variables is the outcome? So, outcome of the measured or being observed or measured. Okay. Meron po siyang tatlong keywords. Tandaan po natin. Outcomes, measured, or observed. Okay? Ito po yung sa dependent variables natin. Meron naman po mga variables, as I mentioned, intervening variables. Yun po pwedeng maka-change or variables that has a potential to change the result of the study. Meron pong mga intervening variables. So for 57 naman, meron tayong tinatawag na mga variables na ordinal, nominal, and ratio. Okay. So, which type of variables has an order or ranking? Ito po ay ordinal. Pag in order, example, first, second, third, ito po ay ordinal. Pag ratio naman po, 1:3, example, 1:3 or 1:10, ito po ay ratio variables. Okay? Nominal variables, numbers po ito, no? Nominal. Okay? Lagi nating tandaan, pag ranking, pag mayroong first, second, third, ordinal po yan. Pag ratio naman po, yun po mayroong 1:2, 1:3, 1:4, ratio po yan. Or ratio variables and nominal variables by numbers. Okay. By categories, no? No order or ranking. So, example, ang mga variables. Numerical value yung continuous. Pwede first, second, third, o 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ratio naman, equal intervals or between values or meaning full 0 point. Yun pong 1:5, 1:10. Nominal, hindi po natin mabibigyan ng ano tawag dito? Wala pong designation. Pwede lalaki, babae, no? Always, sometimes, yung pong mga variables na nominal. Okay. Another po is yung pong gender, pwede rin pong nominal yun. Wala po siyang numbers pero may categories. Okay, 58. Which type of variable has mutually exclusive categories with no inherent order or ranking? Ito po yung nominal. For example, another example aside from gender is yun po 4, rates, yung po mga ganon. Wala po siyang numbers. Lalaki, babae, next. Which type of variables has natural 0 point and equal intervals between values? Ito po ay ratio. Equal intervals or equal values. So, ibig sabihin, kung merong isang lalaki, mayroong 10 babae, for instance, like that. 1:10. Okay? Or, well, pwede rin yung uminom ka ng gamot 3 times a day. That is ratio, no? 3 times a day. That is 3:1. Okay? That is ratio values. Okay. Number 60, which type of variables is measured on scale, which is fixed set of response options? Yung pong timbangan, no? Measured on a scale which fixed set of response options. Ito po ay tinatawag natin discrete variables. Okay. So, as I have explained already, meron po tayong continuous, nominal, and ratio variables. So, yun po, sa discrete, meron po siyang set of response. No? Example, 1 to 5. Meron po, naka-identify na po yun. Naka-identify na, strongly agree to strongly disagree. Okay? Now, let's proceed to 61. Which type of variables is not directly observed or measured but it is inferred or assumed based on another variables? That is a latent variable. No? Example to this is, ano bang hindi natin minessure pero inferred or binigay ng ibang variables. No? Say for instance, natin ay kumbaga yung range, no? Yung strong correlation, big correlation, ito po ay hindi natin makikita pero this is a result of other variables, no? When we analyze the data. Okay. Which type of variables can take on infinite number of values within a specified range? Okay. This is continuous again. So as long as kahit ilan pa yan, basta andun na pasok sa range, this continuous. Okay? Tulad ng edad range. Okay. Which scale is commonly used to measure attitudes, opinions, or perceptions where respondents indicate their level of agreement or disagreement within a series of statements? Aling scale ba ang ginagamit? So pag nominal scale, male or female, hindi yan. Ordinal, first, second, third, hindi rin. Interval, 1 to 5. 6 to 10, hindi rin. So the correct answer here is Likert scale. So na-mention ko na po kanina, meron pong different types of Likert scale na ginagamit. Meron po tayong 3-point scale, 5, 7, and 10. Depending on the purpose of the research and the data instrument or the data gathering instrument being used. Pwede rin ganon. Okay? So, Likert scale po ang ginagamit. In particular, when we are conducting quantitative study using questionnaires. Okay. Next, for 64, lagi po nating tandaan ito, qualitative research to explore lived experience, perspective, and meanings of individuals or groups. Ito po ay phenomenology. Now, meron pong dalawang klaseng phenomenology. Tandaan po natin, ano po ito? Meron po tayong transcendental, meron po tayong hermeneutics. So transcendental, meaning, ano po yung meaning ng sinabi niya? Okay? Pero pag sinabi natin hermeneutics, okay, ano po yung meaning ng experience niya sa kanyang buhay, or the meaning of his experience in his life? That is hermeneutics. Okay. Transcendental, anong meaning ng sinasabi? This for the interpretation. Okay? Dalawang klase ng phenomenology, transcendental tapos hermeneutics. Sa case study naman po, meron po tayong types of case study. Meron po tayong single case study. Ibig sabihin, isa lang po yung focus natin. No? Meron din pong multiple case study. Ano po yung sa multiple case study? So maraming case but they have the same situations. For instance, case study of family with drug users. Okay. Pwede yun. Pwede po. Pwede po yun. Iba't ibang approach. No? Kasi pwede siyang multiple case study. Pwede rin pong single case study. So, in what area? Single case study kasi pwede natin gawing family with drug or with drug addicts who turn to or who become professionals. So po ay single case study. No, single yan kasi professional. Pero pag multiple case, pwede rin po i-multiple case natin, but depending po. Pag single case, isang situation lang po yung tinitingnan natin. Pag multiple case po, multiple case study, maraming areas na tinitingnan natin. Okay? 65, again, ethnography, culture, group of people ang tinitingnan natin. Ethnography po yun. Okay. Grounded theory. Another definition of grounded theory is here. Which type of qualitative research focuses on developing theories or conceptual frameworks based on systematically analyzing and interpreting collective data? So, from the statement, no, yun pong grounded theory is a qualitative study of which you collect statements and analyze it thematically and generate a theory or relate it with a present theory. Okay. Also, we have what type of qualitative research in-depth examination of analysis of single individual, group, or entity to gain detailed insight and understanding. Dito po papasok yung single or multiple case study. Pag single individual po, okay, let us always remember, ito po ay single case study. Pag groups naman po, ito po ay multiple case study. Yun na po, tingnan natin. Okay, among the choices, dito po, phenomenology. Repeat ko po, ang phenomenology, insights, or perspective as well as experiences o ang tinitingnan natin pag phenomenology. Okay, let's proceed to number 68. Which type of qualitative research aims to uncover and explore social or cultural phenomenon through interviews, focus groups, and observations? Ito po ay narrative. Okay. So, narrative research. So, pag sinabing narrative research, in our understanding, it means you are telling a story about the group, kinikwento nyo po yung nangyayari sa group. Yun po ay narrative research. You are storytelling here pag sinabing narrative. Okay? How the group started, or how his life started until a certain point of his experience, or a certain point of the aspect of which you are exploring. So narrative po yun. Nagkwento kayo, kinikwento ninyo kung anong experiences niya. That is researcher's story. Narrative po. Okay. 69. What is the thing that you use in gathering the data? Okay. Marami po tayo ginagamit at marami pong terms na ginagamit when it comes to data gathering. Okay. So, but basically, yung distinction po dito when it comes to qualitative and quantitative is referring to questionnaire, or other term for this is the instrument. No? If it is instrument, this is referring to the data gathering or the questionnaire for quantitative. While for qualitative, tinatawag po itong interview guide. Okay, tandaan po natin, quantitative, research instrument. Qualitative, ito po ay tinatawag na interview guide or interview guide questions. Now, what is SOP, or the statement of the problem? So this is the heart of your research. Kasi po ito po yung sasagutan natin when we are conducting research. Okay? Now, let's go to number 70. Based on the question, the online games addiction of grade 10 students of Lawton High School. So based on the underline, when we say grade 10 students, this is respondents. Okay. When we say Lawton High School, ito po ay local, or tinatawag po nating research environment in other research. Now, the online games addiction, ito rin po yung phenomenon na gusto nating i-explore, or the thing that we want to study, the online game addiction. Okay? Tandaan po natin yun. So, what is a systematic investigation for information? Okay? Research po yan. So, other definitions of research, bakit merong research? Bakit research yan? If you want to discover new things, still, you are researching because you are following systematic approach. Research follows systematic approach. Okay. Another is the meaning of research is that from the word, or from the word re, meaning you can reconduct, or you can replicate the study. Yung iba gusto mag-conduct ng research, gusto nila na tawag doon na they wanted to conduct research which novel. Okay, novel, ibig sabihin po is merong existing tapos dinagdagan nila. Okay? Bakit hindi search? Still, they are using the existing knowledge and incorporating new knowledge to that. And it's called research. Research pa rin yun. For 72, na po tayo. Oh. If you can still remember, I think I mentioned it in slide number 4 or number 3. Meron pong dalawang klase ng data. the primary data and the secondary data. Okay. Among the choices, meron po tayong mga choices. Ang primary data po is a data collected from original source for the first time. Ano po mga example ng primary data? If you are conducting interviews, if you are conducting surveys, ito po ay classified as primary data. No? While on the other hand, the other type of data, the secondary data is coming or obtained from research papers, secondary sources such as periodicals, news, also online, and as well as statistics. Pwede doon kunin yung secondary data. Okay? Which of the following is an example of primary data? Government report on population statistics? No, it is not part of the primary data. Second is survey response collected by the researcher. The answer is yes, primary po ito. While the other option, the letter C and D, is the same as primary, or I mean secondary data. Ang naka-database po yung data, tapos in-extract nyo na lang, such as crime rate, such as yun po number of reported crimes, number of stabbing incidents, number of arrest, yun po ay mga secondary data kasi naka-database na. Oh. Okay. What is secondary data naman? Okay. It is a data that is collected in secondary sources. Here are some of the examples or choices. Data collected from primary sources, hindi po yan secondary data. So yung mga primary sources, pwede pong television, no? Yan. Pag secondary data, galing po sa libro, pwede. Okay. Say for instance, literature review, secondary po yan. No? Published books, public post, secondary data po yan. Kung gusto niyo ng primary data, it is a result of the interview or pwede rin po yung sa questionnaire natin, tapos pwede rin pong yung example, timbang, height, yun po ay mga primary data. Okay? Pag field experiments naman po, yun po ay primary data. Okay? Such as, kasi kinakandak po itong mga field experiments mostly in medical sciences as well as agricultural sciences, social, particularly also in education. But for social sciences, konti lang po. Pwede siya sa psychology, but in criminology, yun po kinakandak natin, pwede siya po doon sa forensic science. Seldom po may mga research na kinakandak field experiments when it comes to crime prevention strategies. Okay. Next, we have also data collected from focus groups, referring to still primary data. Following is an example of secondary data. So the answer is data obtained from online database, secondary data. Data on observation, yan po ay primary data. Pag interviews, again, primary data. Pag survey, still primary data. Tandaan po natin, when it comes to research, pwede po na prediction po tayo using primary and secondary data. Say for instance,
crime rate, and crime prevention strategies or implementation of crime prevention strategies. So pwede po natin kunan din ng secondary data yung police reports or pwede rin pong crime rate. Pwede po i-combine in a research secondary and primary data. Okay. Number 76 na po tayo. Which of the following is characteristics of primary data? So basically, yung primary data is collected in a particular research study. Okay? Lahat po ng primary data, yung interview, yung survey, tapos observation, in a research parlance, ginagamit po yan for specific purpose in a particular study. We have choices here. It is readily available and easy to access. This is a characteristics of secondary data. Marami pong mga secondary data na accessible online. Also, it is less time consuming because pwede mo namang i-search ito. Also, here we have number 76. The question is still on data, type of data. Which of the following is characteristics of secondary data? So the secondary data is useful for exploring new research question. Di ba po, tandaan po natin, we are exploring. So ibig sabihin, ito po ay qualitative. No? Qualitative research question. Or pwede rin po quantitative, pero considering na literature review. Ano ba ang purpose ng literature review natin when we present it in our research? Let us always remember that literature review is connected with establishing the gap of the research. No? Paano mo malalaman na merong research gap? So, kailangan mo ng secondary data to support your claims. So, ito po yung characteristics ng secondary data. Lahat po ng other choices, for example, it is collected directly from the participants, it requires more time and resource to collect compared to primary data, and it is collected through surveys and questionnaires. Ito po ay mga characteristics ng primary data. Okay, number 78 na po tayo. Which of the following is the disadvantage of primary data? Ito po ay expensive and time-consuming to collect. Bakit po? Okay. You need to spend your time interviewing and spend your time printing the questionnaires. So it becomes time-consuming and expensive to collect. Okay? Other choices, for example, it may be biased and subjective. This is a characteristics of qualitative research. It is inexpensive and time-consuming. Okay, ito po yung answer. It may not be available for certain research topics. And it is often outdated and not relevant to current research. So, ito po ay mga examples of or disadvantage of secondary data. Which of the following is an advantage of secondary data? Okay. The answer is it saves time and resource compared to quality primary data. What are the other choices here? So it is a specific and tailored to particular research study. So hindi po yan characteristics ng secondary data. Kasi po in a research setting, particularly surveys and questions, yung gusto mong makuha na data is tailored. The question is tailored for specific data. Aside from that, it allows for direct interaction with the participants.
ito po ay characteristics ng in-depth interview, no? Or focus group discussion. Tandaan po natin ang kaibahan ng data gathering, pag-quali and quanti. Yung kaibahan po is meron po siyang questionnaire at saka interview guide. Now, maraming paraan din po pag-gather ng data when it comes to qualitative. Okay? Whether it is secondary or primary data. So, example of secondary data, yung archive ng court. Secondary data na yon. Okay? And the last is it saves time and resource compared to collecting the primary data. So, ito po ay advantage ng secondary data. Okay. So, which type of data is collected by researcher for the first time and addresses specific research objectives? Naitanong na po ito kanina. Ito po ay primary data. Okay. Another question, just to verify if you understand which type of data is collected from sources that have already conducted research or data collection. Ito po ay secondary data. Okay. Andito na po tayo sa part of research. Part ng thesis and part of research. Okay. Which part of thesis provides a brief overview of the entire research project? So ito po ay abstract. Now, anong nilalaman ng abstract? Okay. Una is the purpose of the study. The purpose of the study, particularly this study, explores the experience of police officers in the front line. Ito po ay purpose of the study. Second is the methodology of the research. Ano po yung methodology? Or ano po approach ang ginamit? Quantitative, qualitative, a mixed method of research. Or sino ang sample, ano ang sampling methodology, ano ang data gathering instrument na ginamit, yun po ang mga bagay na i-consider in the abstract. Also, the findings, conclusions, and recommendations is included in the abstract. Abstracts ranges from words from 250 to 300 words. So it is also considered as the summary of the introduction, the method, results and discussion, conclusions, and the recommendations. Okay? So number 83, which section of the thesis presents problem statement or research questions? Or tinatawag po natin ito research objective sa iba. Sa iba naman, statement of the problem or problem statement or research questions. Okay. Makikita po natin ito sa introduction. So I will repeat. Doon sa introduction, if you forgot, introduction presents the background of the study. Yung iba, ginagamit nila is rationale or background. Yung iba naman, gumagamit ng term na introduction lang. Another is, it contains the theoretical and conceptual framework. So ano bang kaibahan ng theoretical and conceptual framework? So pag ang support ng yung study is pertaining to theories, ito po ay theoretical framework. Pag concept naman po or guides, ito po ay referring to the conceptual framework. Now, meron ding kaibahan when it comes to how and when to use this conceptual framework and theoretical framework. Now, for quantitative study, remember po, quantitative study, particularly if the study is about modeling, ang approach po dito ay gumagamit sila ng conceptual framework. Okay? Conceptual framework pag quantitative, especially modeling po yung study. Now, for qualitative, kasi walang concept po yung or walang tinatawag nating concept yung sa qualitative. Purely ang sinusupport po or ginagawa pag qualitative study is supported by theoretical framework. Okay, tandaan po natin yon. Kailan ginagamit ang theoretical and conceptual frameworks. So, ando naman din in the introduction, meron po tayong conceptual frameworks or theoretical frameworks. Meron din pong schematic diagram. Ito po yung diagram pag quantitative, meron po tayong schematic diagram. Pag qualitative, wala naman po. Okay. Dito po makikita natin yung schema of the study, the independent and the dependent variables. If in case meron pong intervening variables, makikita rin po natin doon sa schematic diagram. No? It is represented by box and arrows. So, depending on the purpose of the study and the statement of the problem, pero yun pong box and arrow, andun din po yun. Represented by dependent and independent variables. Okay. Also, the hypothesis, no? Or we call this, we create an assumption. So, pag mayroong hypothesis, meaning it is correlational, whether it is testing or cross-sectional, no? Correlational or cross-sectional study. Na-mention ko na po yung kaibahan ng cross-sectional tapos yung correlational study kanina. Now, pag merong hypothesis, ibig sabihin, meron po itong inferential statistics. Sa introduction, no? At tandaan po natin yon. Hypothesis is the assumption or prior assumption to be tested in conducting research using statistical analysis, difference or correlational. So ano po ba yung mga test na ginagamit? Meron po tayong ANOVA, t-test, chi-square, regression analysis. Okay. So, doon po papasok yung hypothetical questions. Okay. Next, meron din po tayong significance of the study. Part of the introduction. So, in the significance of the study, this pertains to the benefits of which the study can provide to a specific persons or stakeholders. Okay, the benefits, that is the significance of the study. And also we have scope and delimitations of the study. What is the coverage of your study? Also, we have the operational definitions, part of the introduction. No? Yung operational definitions, it defines the terms or part of the introduction which defines the terms that is used or defines operationally the terms that is used in the study. Okay. Now for introduction yan, chapter 1. Now, meron naman po part, diba 5 yung part ng thesis. Anong mga parts? So, sa nakikita ko, commonly 5 naman yung ginagamit. Seldom to say thesis which is 3 parts. Merong mga 3 parts, meron ding 5 parts. Pero, pare-parehas lang din. Okay? So, for instance, in the thesis, in chapter 2, kasi review of related literature and studies, I have mentioned this already, na yung literatures, review of related literatures lang po lahat. Mga concepts, mga ideas lang po yung pre-present. Tandaan po natin yon. Wala pong result of studies. Kasi po, yung result of studies is part of related studies na. Present po ha. Yung iba at least 10 years previously. Baka lalabas sa board exam. Tanong, 10 years or 5 years. Okay. Yung accepted po, pwede po 10 years. Pero pag wala pong other options, ang binibigay is 5 years. Okay? Tandaan po natin. It depends on how the questions is being asked. Okay, another. Meron po tayo here. In thesis, there would be a typical find a review of existing research and scholarly literature relevant to the topic. Yung standard po natin, wala na po tayo nung dati na local, 10, tapos international, 10. Wala na po yun. In particular, meron po tayong standard na pina-follow. Yung iba po, by categories or by variables po yung classification ng literature review by variables na po. Okay. Ilang variables po yung dependent. So, yun din po yung sa literature review. Okay. Now, in the methodology, lahat po ng methodology, ito po ay standard. Kahit anong research standard po ito. Okay, meron po tayong sinusunod. So, for example, in conducting research, meron tayong tinatawag na new concept today. Research in green criminology, blue criminology, and green criminology. So, ano po ba ito? Mga emerging po ito, no? Baka lalabas din po sa ibang subjects. Pag sinabi natin green criminology, ito po ay referring to environmental crimes, green crimes. Okay? Cutting of trees, poaching, ito po ay mga green criminology. Meron din po tayong blue criminology. Pag ito po ay involved ng sea creatures sa dagat po, blue criminology po ito. Okay? Ito po yung mga bagong trend natin sa research. Next is, we have also brown criminology. Pag involved po ito ng mga quarry, ng land, yun po ay brown criminology. Okay? Tandaan po natin ito. Also, in the research, meron na po tayong mga bagong tinitest. Such as yung GIS. Ano bang meaning ng GIS? Kasi mga previous research or previous questions dati, meron po itong GIS na tinatawag. Ito ay Geographical Information System. Meron na po mga maraming research about Geographical Information System in which yung crime, okay, are represented by colors. No, analysis po ng data. Tinatawag po natin itong spatial analysis. Ibang approach po ito na methodology ng research. Okay? Mga new approach in research. For example, spatial analysis. Ibig sabihin, it involves color. Yung mga spot areas or mga hotspots, pinipresent sa map or pinipresent sa data analysis na map. Tapos iba't ibang color. Spatial analysis po yon using GIS or the Geographical Information System. So, yun po ang mga bagong methodology na ginagamit. So, sa methodology naman po is parehas lang lahat ng approach. Yun lang ang kaibahan, yung mga spatial, tapos yung GIS na mga new approaches. Okay? And then, for the data, methodology, na-mention ko na kanina, yung Likert, thematic analysis, content analysis, ano pa ba yung hindi ko na-mention? Kasi malaking, ang research kasi is, usapin na malaking coverage, no? But we are focusing on what's important here because we are now in rationalization. Okay? So I hope I covered everything. Kung hindi man, baka meron akong nakalagdaan, pwede niyo itanong sa chat box later on. Okay. We are already in number 84. Okay. Which section of the thesis outlines the specific procedures and methods used to collect the data? So ito po ay in the methodology. Okay. So isa-isahin po natin yung methodology. Okay. The first content of the research methodology is the research design. For the research design, meron po tayong research design na quantitative, qualitative, or mixed method of research. Now, ito po ay mga classifications. For quantitative, meron tayong descriptive correlational, descriptive research, cross-sectional, longitudinal, survey research. Okay? For qualitative, meron tayong ethnography, phenomenology, case study, document analysis. Meron tayong ethnography, na-mention ko na narratology, also merong other approach, no, na mga bago. For instance, review of related studies or literature, or tinatawag nating review. Systematic review, meron ding tawag dito, purely qualitative lang, no? Hindi siya classified na qualitative or quantitative. Okay, merong mga ganong research. Okay, next, let's proceed to number 85. Which section of the research or thesis provides an overall synthesis of the summary of the research project? Okay, so ang summary is the conclusion itself. So what's the conclusion? Okay, so results or conclusion as well as methodology. Na-mention ko pala kanina in terms of methodology is the research design followed by research instrument. Now in research instrument, meron tayong adapted, modified, or self-made. Anong kaibahan dito? Pag modified, inadapt mo, or modified, kumuha ka sa internet or anong sources, tapos kinandakan mo ng pilot testing and you found out that merong mga, there is a portion or merong mga choices from, merong mga options or merong mga questions that is not fit for the particular study. Inalis mo yon, that is modified. Okay. Undergoing pilot testing using Cronbach alpha. So Cronbach alpha or accepted level for Cronbach alpha is 0.7. Okay, 0.7 or 70. Score for 70% validity and reliability. That is for modified as well as self-made questionnaire. No? Pag self-made, the researcher made the questionnaire. Yun po. Okay? And the adapted is the standardized questionnaire. Ah, excuse me. Meron din pong another part of the methodology which is the research environment or research local. No? Tinatawag nilang research local yon. Yung iba, research environment. Ito po this is the place where the research conducted. And also we have research participants or research respondents. So the research participants, research respondents, iba po ang respondents, iba po yung participants as I have mentioned. For quantitative, respondents po yan. For qualitative, participants po yan. Okay? Participant selection, whether it is stratified sampling, random sampling, purposive sampling, or convenience sampling, or even snowball sampling. Iba-iba po yung mga sampling method na yan. Okay, na-mention ko na po yan. Also, we have the data analysis to be used for qualitative and for quantitative. Merong yung sa makabagong analysis, spatial analysis using colors. Pwede bar graph if mag-present po tayo ng mga data. Yung ginagamit po nila is bar graph. Minsan po is tables. Pag tables, yung pong mean, meron din po tayong standard deviation, meron din po tayong p-value, t-value, and r for this. Okay. Next, we have the qualitative analysis. No? Pag qualitative, iba yung approach. Okay. I think those are the things that included in the methodology. Now, for number 86, what is the characteristics of research where research is based on valid procedures and principles? This is methodology or methodical. Means the research follows specific procedures. Okay. If meron pong or a characteristics of a research that is starting with a problem and it ends with a problem, it is a cycle. Diba gumawa tayo ng research for the purpose of solving a problem. After we solve the problem, we identify another problem. So this is a cyclical characteristics of research. Okay? Malapit na po tayo. Next is what is the characteristics of research where research utilize proven procedures in gathering the data. Ito po ay empirical. Kasi po meron po tayong mga research na established. For example, data gathering on survey questions, data gathering on interview questions. Meron po standard procedures. Okay. So for the scope, part po ng chapter 1, scope and limitation or scope and delimitation. The extent of the area of the subject or subject matter that something deals with or to which it is relevant. So ito po yung scope. Hanggang saan yung coverage? Hanggang saan ang research topic? Okay? And then for this, bago ko makalimutan, parehas lang po, meron po tayong methodology and meron pong research methods. Parehas lang po yun. Yung iba, ginagamit nila research methodology. Yung iba, methodology lang. Tapos meron din pong research methods. Parehas lang po yun. If in case na itanong po sa board exam na methodology, methods, or research methods, limitations naman, extent of the area or the subject matter that is dealing with which it is relevant. Okay. For this question, no? This part of research includes information which would focus attention on the importance and validity of the problem. Pag sinabing importance and validity, this pertains to the benefits. Pag sinabing benefits po, ibig sabihin, significance of the study. Tandaan po natin, ang significance of the study covers not only the researcher and the stakeholders. Okay. Number 9, what is a hypothesis? Okay. I have already presented. If you listen to hello po, sir. Ayun. Nawala po ako, naputol yung internet namin for a while. Allow me to share again. No? Okay, balik po tayo. It is considered as the intelligent guess or prediction that gives directional to the researchers to answer research questions. So ito po ay referring to hypothesis. Kung isa lang hypothesis. Marami yung hypothesis. No? In the hypothesis, meron po tayong null hypothesis at saka alternative hypothesis. Yung kaibahan po, yung null means there is no relationship or there is no significance. Belongs po yun or it belongs to the null hypothesis. If the statement is there is no or there is no significance or there is no relationship. Pag yung sinabi there is a relationship or there is a significance, yun po ay belong sa alternative hypothesis. Okay, tandaan po natin, dalawang klase ang hypothesis dito, null and saka alternative. Okay? So conceptual and theoretical framework, I have presented this already. Definition of terms, I have presented. Okay. So for number 94, it introduces and describes the theory that explains why the research problem under study exists with focus on addressing questions of why and how. So it pertains to theoretical framework. Okay. Another good situation or examples which we can analyze here on quantitative aspect of research. Example, Percy wants to produce a quantitative research. What are the things should Percy consider? Po, if quantitative po, it should be objective. Quantitative, objective, quantitative is objective. Compared to qualitative, it is subjective and the sampling is not random. For qualitative, the sampling mostly used is purposive sampling. While for quantitative, mostly on researches conducted is objective and random sampling. Okay, yun po. Now, when you say paraphrasing, ito po yung mga problems. If hindi po na-paraphrase yung statement, ibig sabihin po is that is plagiarism. No? Plagiarism po yan pag hindi pinaraphrase. So what is a paraphrasing? Putting the information I read into my own words. Okay. If you copy the text and paste it, for instance, a researcher copy the text and paste it immediately without changing the words in the manuscript, it is considered plagiarism. Okay. So the correct answer is putting information I read into my own words. That is paraphrasing. So it is important, especially in conducting research, in particular, ethical research. Baka po may tanong, no? Ethical research. And also, what is the direction of research when it comes to conducting research in the Philippines? Meron po tayong tinatawag na NERA, no? National Research, Higher Education, National Higher Education Research Agenda, or tinatawag nating NERA. Okay, sa CHED po yan. Meron din po tayong Sustainable Development Goals. Doon po ina-anchor yung mga research natin in the recent times. Okay? Or SDG yung tawag, Sustainable Development Goals. Okay. Next. This refers to a paper and pencil data gathering method wherein the subject or respondents completely answer the series of questions. This is questionnaire method. Actually, meron din po tayong makabagong pamamaraan when it comes to data gathering. Say for instance, if we are using online now in conducting research, hindi na po yun questionnaire. But instead, it is an online survey. Online survey na po yun using Google Forms. Okay? Online survey. Okay, what can you do to avoid plagiarism? These are the things that you need to take note. For ethical research, cite your source at the end of the sentence or of a sentence. Reference and paraphrase other works. Use quotation marks and all of the above. So the answer is all of the above. Okay. A bonus question, no? I guess I have 6 questions for bonus questions. What is a hypothesis? So this is an educated guess. Next, what does EPA stands for in EPA 7th edition? Tandaan po natin, yung EPA in research, marami pong approaches. But for social sciences, ang EPA po ay ginagamit for social sciences. Ang criminology, particularly criminological research, is using the EPA format standard. Ano po yung EPA? Ibig sabihin po is American Psychological Association. Tandaan po natin yon. Okay. Next. Which of the following is the correct format for an in-text citation in 7th EPA edition? Okay, ito po yung format. Let us always remember. First is author's last name. So for example, author's last name, no? For example lang, sa akin, no? Patalinghog 2017 or Patalinghog 2020. Ito po yung in-text citation na pinapalo natin. Author's last name and then year. Yan po ay EPA format. Now for 104, when listing multiple authors in the reference list in EPA 7th edition, what is the correct format? Tandaan po natin, pag marami, apat sila. For instance, always begin with last name followed by first initial. Lahat po ay last name at first initial. Tandaan po natin, pag EPA, last name and first initial. Pag books po yan, last name of the authors, or last name of the first author and his initial, last name of the second author and his initial. Okay? And the year followed by the year of publication, followed by the title of the book. Ano bang title ng book? For instance, Patalinghog 2020 or 2023, Cybercrime and Environmental Crimes or Introduction to Cybercrime and Environmental Crimes. Meron po kaming book na ganun. Thank you so much, Chapter House, for that. So, how to cite EPA? For example, last name, Patalinghog, comma, my first letter initial M, then year of publication, 2023, title of the book, and then publication. So, as I have give you an example, Patalinghog, comma, M, year of publication, 2020, title of the book. Meron din po tayo book na Research 1 and 2. No? And then the publication or the publisher is Chapter House. So that's how you cite EPA format citations. Okay. Example of this, the book, no? Yung kanina, yun yung journal. Iba yung book, iba yung journal. Pag journal naman, hindi ganito. So instead of title of book, ito po yung title of the research. Instead of publisher, ito po ay the journal. At meron pa pong link of the journal. So tandaan po natin, pag book, Patalinghog, for example, author's last name, then first initial, the year represents the year of publication, the title of the journal or title of the book, or if it is a book. And then for journals, the name of the journals after the link of the journals. For book authors, ganito po yun, author's name, first initial, tapos year of publication, title of book, and then publisher. So, binigyan ko kayo ng example, di ba? Patalinghog, comma, M, then year 2023. The title of the book is Introduction to Cybercrime and Environmental Crimes. The publisher is Chapter House. Okay. Then we have here. Online article naman po. No? This is how you make it. Author's last name, first initial, then year, title of the article, journal name, page, URL. So kung hindi siya journal, pwede nyo ilagay author's last name, initial, tapos year, tapos title of the article, and then the URL. Okay? Yun lang po. That's how to cite a reference using EPA 7th edition format. Okay, thank you so much and good evening. Kung meron po kayong tanong, please, you can chat me here in the chat box so that I can answer if hindi ko po nasali sa discussion ko po. Maraming salamat po sa pakikinig ninyo. Thank you so much for your time and thank you so much WGRC Review Center for this opportunity to share my knowledge. Okay? I hope and I wish that you will pass the board exam. Congratulations in advance and good evening. This is your lecturer this evening, Mark Patalinho. Okay? Wala po tayong mga questions. I will just share the slides to Sir Mons and as well as the questions. Maraming salamat po. Wala po bang tanong? Okay, Sir Mon. End ko na po yung slide ko.